Hi, welcome to this course on Python, and in this video we shall be jumping into our third chapter, and this is nothing but Python loops, functions and file handling. Well, talking about this chapter, in this video we shall be focusing more on loops and iteration. What exactly are loops and iteration? Loops are used for repetitive work, used for repetition, iterating over an iterable. What is iterable? That means one object that can be iterated over. So, in easy terms, from a layman's point of view, iterable is an object that can be iterated over. And what are the examples of iterables? Lists, tuples, strings, dictionaries, sets, all these are iterable. That means you can iterate over all the elements of these entities. Let's say you have 5 records in a list. You can iterate over each and every element of that list. What is an iterator? Iterator is a variable that goes through each element in the iterable. Majorly, there are two types of loops. One is for loop and one is a while loop. Well, theoretically speaking, for loops are nothing but when you define a for loop, it keeps on doing until that condition is satisfied. Now, for an example, for I in range of 1 to 5, print I, else print for loop exhausted. So, for the first time, when I is 1, the loop is run, print I is printed 1. Second time, for I in range of 1 to 5, second value of I is 2 and then print 2. So 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. And then your range is done. Next time when for I in range of 1 to 5 where your I is 5, it does not satisfy the if clause. Then it goes to the else block and then it prints for loop exhausted. Right? So this is how a for loop works. And while loop works like this. You have start, then you have initialize your loop counter, then while condition satisfied, if yes, then exit from the loop, if no, code and update the counter. So normally in Java, what it happens is when you are defining your for loop, for I in range of this, do this. And then what we do is we do I plus plus. That means we increment the I value so that when the first time I is run through that for loop, for the second time I value will be done plus plus. In Python, we don't have to do plus plus, it automatically gets incremented. Okay, an example of while clauses here. Well, talking about the basics, talking about the theoretical part, I hope you understood a little bit about it. And while we jump into the practical codes, you will have a better understanding. So let's get started. So we'll start with one of the examples, which is check whether a number is odd or even. Well, in order to do that, let's try to define a variable. Let's say I define my variable x equals to 101. Simple. Now, what I will do is I will simply write some code. Let's say if x percent 2, that means I'm checking whether if I'm dividing it by 2, whether the remainder will be 0 or not. If the remainder will be 0, then I will do print x and then I will print is an even number. Simple. Else, I don't have to define anything else. I will just copy paste this code and I will write down that is an odd number. Now if I run this, then you can see 101 is an odd number. If you run the same thing for another variable, let's say 90, 90 is an even number. Let's say 13, 13 is an odd number. Simple. So this is one of the if and else clause. Okay. And after we get started with the basics, then we'll jump into the loops and iterations. Another one is, let's say I want to take the input. Here I'm doing a hard coding, right? I'm hard coding whether it is 13 or 101 or something like that. What if I want to do, I want to take input directly from the console. So what we can do is we'll simply do input. What? Enter your number. Okay. As our number is an integer, I will just make it integer. And then I will press enter. enter your number. Let's say I'm entering 101. 101 is an odd number. I will run this again. Let's say I'm doing it for 90. 90 is an even number. Simple. Now, so one more example here will be, let's say I want to do, let's say you're going for a party and you want to allow only people who are either greater than age 18 or less than 50. Then what we can do is, let's say I'll just copy paste this code, x equals to input. Let's say allow greater than 18 and less than 50 years of age. Okay. Now here what I'll do is I'll simply take enter your age, and then I will do if x less than 18 or x greater than 50, then what? Then print sorry, you are not allowed in the party. Simple. Else welcome to the party. Now if I run this 31, welcome to the party. If I do 51, sorry, you are not allowed for the party. Next we shall be doing some more codes like this. Let's say I'm creating some program to provide discounts or offers. Okay, so here what we will be doing is we'll be taking the same type of example, shopping amount, and let's say you have done some shopping in a mall and your shopping amount exceeds $5,000. In that case you get $1,000 voucher. If your shopping amount increases 2,500 and then you get a $500 vouchers, else you don't get any voucher. So how can we do? So here I will just type in input your billed amount. Based on that, I will simply copy paste this code. If my shopping amount is greater than equals to 5,000, you have won a voucher of $1,000. Simple. Else if, so instead of else if, we can also write elif in Python. Elif this, you have won a voucher of $500. Else oops, no vouchers. Okay, now if I input my build amount, let's say my build amount is 100, no vouchers. My build amount is 10,000, you have won a voucher of $1,000. So this is a simple example of a if else blocks. Now why I'm explaining you if else blocks, once you understand properly about if else blocks, these are kind of loops as well, not exactly loop, but these are conditional statements. Once you know these things, it will be benefited, because when we go ahead with the for loops and while loops, we might have to use a lot of if else commands as well. Okay, so this is where we wind up our if else blocks. Here I will quickly create, here we'll get started with iterations. Okay, instead of this I'll just make it a markdown iterations. Now our first example will be iterate over a list of integers. Okay, iterate over a list of integers. Now just imagine I define a list 1 equals to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and you want to iterate over this particular list. For I in list 1, print I. Simple. I have defined a list 1 equals to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So what is this list? What will be the length of this list? Length is 5, right? What I'm doing here, I'm doing for I in list I. That means for each values in list, print I. If I run this, I'm able to print. So for what happens is, for the first time, if for loop is run, it iterates over the first element, prints it. Iterates over the second element, prints it. Iterate over the third element, prints it. Fourth element prints it. Fifth element prints it. Sixth element, it does not found anything, so it doesn't print anything. Okay. Now, how can we do the same thing iterating over a string? Let's say I provide my string 1 equals to hello, or else I will give India. Okay, string 1 equals to India. For I in string 1, print I. So string is nothing but a combination of characters. We already know that. I have already explained these things when we talked about iterations. When we talked about how to access each element of a string. What is 0? 0 is I1 is N, 2 is D, something like that. So strings are nothing but combinations of characters. So if I am running this, that means each and every character will be printed. You can see I, N, D, I, A. So this is nothing but it is iterating over the string and it is printing all the characters. Now I will copy paste this and I will explain you how to iterate over a dictionary. Okay, so here I will be creating my dictionary. Let's say student data equals to, I will provide my key as some numbers, maybe roll numbers, and then value will be Sam, and then 25, maybe age, and then I will copy paste this. Okay, 5 elements. I'll just change these attributes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sam, Sharma, Ravi, Shalini, Sid. Okay, Shalu. Okay, 25, 21, 23, 24, 20. Okay, something like that. For I in student data, will this work? Well, this will not work in case of dictionaries, but let's try to run this and see what it will be. If I'm running this, it is printing the key values. But what if I want to print the row values? Like you want to print the values, not the keys, because keys are unique in nature. The information is in values, right? Dictionary stores your information in values, not in keys. Keys are just your random unique entities. In order to get the values, what we can do is I can simply do dot items. Then if I print it, you can see I'm able to get everything. Now here from I, let me just do it in a separate line. First, I just iterated over the keys. Second, I'm iterating over the whole items. When I'm printing it, you can see I'm able to print both of them, the key and the value, right? So key, comma, value. So next time what I will do is, instead of I will mention it as I and J. What is J? J is your second entity, I is your first entity. Now I will print J. Now I am able to get all the values. Sam 25, Sharma 21, Ravi 23, Shalu 23, and Sid 23. So this is how you iterate over your dictionary elements. And how to iterate over your dictionary keys? Well, either you just copy paste this one, or you just do like this. This also works. Or else simply you do I on the whole dictionary and then print it. Simple. Now, iterating over a range of values. I will just quickly copy paste any of them. Okay. Iterating over a range of values, So here, instead of this dictionary, I will be defining my range. Let's say, okay, let's directly use the range here itself. Range of 1 to 5. 1 2 3 4. The last one is not inclusive, right? After this one, this is the basics of lists, sorry, the basics of iterations and basics of loops. So next we shall be talking about comprehensions. So I already have the code ready with me. So I'm just copy pasting the code so that I can quickly explain you. Now, why do we use comprehension? Sometimes your for loops can take a lot of time to run. For loops are normally a bit slower, not bit, as compared to other approaches like Mac filter reduce or list comprehensions. Your traditional for loops are too slow, and that is the reason we use list comprehensions most of the time. So we'll try to understand what exactly is comprehensions. Here I've defined a list which is nothing but automobiles, Honda, Benz, Maruti and Kia. I have defined another list which is empty list. For each entity in list 1, list 2 dot append of I. That means for each entity, first time when the cursor is on automobiles, list 2 dot append I. So list 2 gets automobiles. Then Honda, list 2 gets Honda. Then Benz, list 2 get Benz. So finally your list 2 is nothing but your list 1. Here, just imagine if somebody asks you, can you have a list, from that list you want to calculate length of each of your elements and then add the length of each of your elements to create another list. So in that case, what you can do, you have defined your list, another list which is blank. For I in list I, list 2 dot append length of I. Simple. How can this be achieved using list comprehensions? You can see this is your traditional code for loop for I in list of I, list 2 equals to appended I. So these three lines can be replaced simply like this. List 2 equals to length of I for I in list of 1. Exactly similar fashion which has already been mentioned here. So let me just delete it and you can compare this two code. This is your first code, 3 lines. And just using one line, I'm able to do the same thing. So here what is happening? It is calculating the length of I for each element in list 1 and appending that value to the list 2. This is how list comprehension works. Similarly, I have a list. Automobiles, Honda, Benz, Maruti, Kia. D equals to, it has defined a dictionary, equals to I. What is I? I is your automobiles, Honda, Benz, Maruti, Kia. And what is the value? Value is the length of I. If you run this, this is what it is happening. And this line is similar to this. Instead of list comprehensions, if I use the traditional for loop, how will it happen? Let's say I define my dictionary like this. For I in list of 1, D of I equals to D equals to length of I. And then if I print D, you can see these 3 lines of code are similar to this 1 line of code. So list comprehensions are normally way easier to implement. It takes less amount of space and time complexity wise also it's super fast as compared to the traditional for loops. That's all about loops and iterations. I hope you understood about it. In the next video, in the next class, we shall be talking more about functions, file handling and various other topics. Till then, stay tuned. Bye bye.